This is the Young Family Podcast. All right, everybody, and welcome back to the Young Family Podcast. It is your host, E. Young. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host,
the TBC.
What's up, TBC?
What's up, E. Young?
Talking about a discussion question today. We want to know how parents felt the first time their kids spent the night somewhere without them. So, Carolyn, you and I are going through that right now. We're going to talk about it, and we want other people to talk about it too. In addition, we are also going to be basically plowing through a whole bunch of emails. So we'll consider it a bit of a mailbag episode. We've got 3 to cover today of varying topics, so definitely stick around for that because the feedback of the Young Family Podcast and the things that you guys want to talk about is very important, isn't it, TBC?
Yes.
So to begin, we're going to get right into our discussion question. And I guess we have to provide just a smidgen of background information. So TBC, let the listeners know, where is Jackson right now?
So Jackson is currently at my sister's house. She offered to kind of take him over to her house for a little vacation and just to kind of...
we just needed to get the kid out of the house.
I mean,
he was like a caged animal up in this joint.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have been cooped up in this house for a while, not able to go anywhere. A lot of the limitations with coronavirus have lifted a little bit over here, so it has allowed us to be able to do something like this, and we chose to take her up on her offer, kind of get him out of the house and to do something a little bit different and, you know, see the cousins.
Now, all of that is fine and good. But this also marks a big milestone in the Young family's history, and that is that it's the first time that either of our children, and of course Jackson is the oldest, but it's the first time that we've had one of our children spend the night somewhere without us.
Yeah, so it's the first time that he's been to somebody else's house. It is the second time that he's been a night without us. The first time was when we had Riley at the hospital. And we had no choice.
That doesn't count.
Okay, so that doesn't count. Fine, scratch that. But this was like the first time that we chose to send him to somebody's house.
Right. Where it was just a voluntary shipment of our child. So the discussion question is, and Carolyn, you and I will take turns responding to it first to kind of kick things off. And then, of course, we want to hear from the listeners. So the discussion question is, how did you feel the first time this happened in your family, where you had a kid spend the night elsewhere just because? A lot of emotions going on, right, TBC? You get a lot of different feelings from this situation. I will start with mine. You want to know what, like, the prevailing feeling that I have right now from all of this is?
Yeah, let me hear it.
I don't think that Jackson's going to want to come home.
He definitely is, like, living his best life over at my sister's house.
So, to provide a bit of context on that, they have 3 children that are, you know, some a little bit younger, some older. So there's just more kids his age, right? They've got a pool, they've got a golf cart, and they've got easy beach access.
They actually have a beach with parking.
That has parking.
So they can actually go and, like, go there.
And they are doing all of those things. And I have a feeling that when Jackson does come home, he's basically going to be like, what the f*** is this?
Like, this blows. No, it's definitely true. I mean, you know, things are different here for us. We live in a community that has a pool, but the pool is closed.
And they decided to re-up on that for another 2 weeks in their last board meeting, so we're not going to have the pool for a while.
Yeah, so we are just kind of at like a standstill with activities. I mean, you know, hence our episode like 2 times ago where we went and watched planes take off and land.
Yeah.
But he is just like having the best time. So I definitely feel your sentiments. He probably is not going to want to come back, maybe to visit us like here and there, but to like live.
He's going to visit. Like, really? Like, do I have a choice here? So what about you? What was it like, your oldest kid and you were dropping him off to just ship him off with your sister for a couple of nights. How did that make you feel?
So I've had like a sea of emotions, if that even makes sense, over the last couple of days.
Like an ocean sea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
No, that does make sense.
So at first, my sister decided to watch Jackson for a few days because I was just having a tough time. I was a little bit overwhelmed. So at first when she said, I will watch, Jackson for a few days so you only have the one, younger child, my first thought was like a little bit of like relief. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, well, I get a break. Jackson's going to have so much fun. And, it's my sister who I fully trust. And I know he's, in completely good hands. So then I was excited for him because of, all the reasons why, you're, not concerned, but feeling about him not wanting to come home.
Right.
And then as he was kind of, pulling away yesterday, I wanted to cry. I wanted to, because I wasn't like worried about him, but I was just like, oh, my baby is growing up. I'm going to miss him so much, because he's like my little buddy, my little sidekick, all throughout the day. So I definitely was just like feeling just like a little sense of like sadness or just like emotion.
Yeah.
And then, today when my sister is sending me all kinds of pictures and videos of what they're doing, my heart is just like so full of like love because I know he's having, like the best time. And he is on this like little vacation. So I've just kind of had like the ups and downs of emotions over the past, week, I guess.
Yeah, you basically have felt like both ends of the spectrum and then probably everything in between and maybe a little bit of relief and happiness while also feeling sad and emotional about it simultaneously. So that's why I thought that this was an interesting discussion question. If this is something that has happened in your family or with your little ones, then we want to hear about it. Hit us up, youngfamilypodcast@gmail.com. The TBC and I are going through it right now, feeling tons of feelings, and we want to know how that went for you. With that, TBC, let's get into our emails. Email. All right, everybody. So welcome to the email section here. Like I said, we're going to consider this a bit of a mailbag episode because we have multiple emails to go through. First one is from listener Nancy. She loves to write in. We love to hear from you, Nancy. And so a couple of episodes ago, she was asking our advice on her 5-year-old son who had gotten off the pacifier and then he relapsed and he was having a real tough time. I guess like since the quarantine, he kind of like wanted his pacifier back. And then she's like, whoa, but you're 5 and we already got over this. And what do you do? Nancy actually wound up taking our advice, which to be quite honest with you, I don't even remember what we said. But then she wound up writing back to us with what she did, and it was a really, really clever solution. So for any parent that is either trying to break their kids of the pacifier or re-break them, you might want to try Nancy's idea here. And she writes, loved the advice. It was spot on. And he buried pacifiers in the backyard and toy dinosaurs sprouted out. So I thought that was a really clever idea, right, TBC?
I think that idea is awesome, and it actually might be something that we incorporate when we try to get Riley completely off the pacifier, because right now she's still on it at nighttime.
Word.
We're breaking her from nap time right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it is kind of clever. It's like you bury it into the ground, and then you wait a little bit, and then, a toy grows out of it in like replacement.
Because it's that real sort of like physical transference that a 2 or 3 or especially a 5-year-old can really process of like, do you remember when you put your pacifier in the ground and it went away? And they'll be like, oh yeah, that's true. Like when they're asking for it again in the future, you know what I mean? So Nancy, really awesome, a clever idea, and we hope that is working out for you. So we also got another email, TBC, that really tickled me because it was one of the rare emails that we get with constructive criticism. And I find it awesome, number one. So, because we're always striving to get better. I'm not saying that we don't get a lot of constructive criticism because we are so close to perfect. I just think that it's rare for people to listen and then just be like, you know what? I'm going to let them know how they could do this better. But I do think it's cool. So we wound up getting a 5-point email from a listener that wanted to share some constructive criticism with us. I am going to read my favorite, which is point number 4. They write, when Eric brings up incessantly that you guys are not experts, I would say most experts, in parentheses, they write, psychologists and or writers of children books, are, shall we say, quote unquote, messed up individuals. So I would not apologize. So in this scenario, you can talk about so-called experts and their research and life and some of the experts, and then bring in the good human part of self-confidence and parenting naturally. This would be entertainment. And then they write, for example, how does a baby spermed in a woman is born and then grows up to be an ass? How does that happen? See what I mean?
Like, how to be funny?
I think that, that's what this listener was about. They were like, listen, you guys need to stop apologizing for not being experts. Experts are idiots. And instead just be confident and be funny. And look, here, I'll give you an example of funny.
Oh, I know funny.
Apparently this listener does too. When's the last time you heard spermed? Like sperm, but like as a verb. Like a baby was spermed in a woman. I think that's the part I like the most about this point.
I mean, it definitely is not, in the top 100 verbs that I hear on a regular basis.
Agreed. And then, so our final email of the day comes from Victoria. And Victoria is another great listener of the show, a new mom. And they wanted to write to us and say, just wanted to thank you guys sincerely for your gracious words on breastfeeding. Choosing not to continue breastfeeding was a real gut punch for me/us. No pressure or hard feelings at all if you don't want to keep going down that serious road on the show, but if you're ever interested in doing a deeper dive on that topic, I'd be happy to do a guest interview sometime and talk about our very short but emotional journey with breastfeeding. I think a lot of women need validation when it comes to the quote, fed is best, and don't hear enough personal stories about it. They also went on to say that they loved our last interview, and that's cool. So first and foremost, got to say thanks to everybody for writing in. Victoria, thank you for sharing your story on breastfeeding with us. TBC, what is your reaction to a message like this?
I think that this email and this message is so powerful because there is so much pressure on the woman to feed, to breastfeed their child. Mm-hmm. And so I definitely think that we should interview her and kind of, hear her struggle as, it pertained to her family and kind of see how it might help, other listeners or, other moms or families out there. I definitely think fed is best. I think breastfeeding is so hard. And, we have a lot of new mom listeners out there. And I think it's just like you have to give yourself grace. You have to just allow, you to figure out what's best. Because at the end of the day, if the mom is in a good place, the baby is in a good place. Right. And if there is too much stress for breastfeeding, maybe you're not producing, then you're not gonna really be able to kind of enjoy your child and like these precious moments. So I do think that we need to respond back to Victoria, set up another interview session, because I definitely think it's a topic that is worth discussing.
What a way for her to find out that she's booked for the show, right? Like she's just listening right now. She's like, well, I guess I'm going to be on the show. No,
we'll email you.
Yeah. Victoria, we will reach back out to you and we'll definitely do our best to coordinate an interview. We'd definitely love to have you guys on talking about that because, echoing Carolyn's thought here, it really does seem like it's a message that just cannot be said enough. You may say it, you may hear it, you may understand it and think that you agree with it, but then when you go through it, it sounds like there is a different level of struggle emotionally when the physical struggle of breastfeeding is happening. So,
well, you want what's best for your baby.
Yeah.
And if everyone is saying, what's best for your baby is to breastfeed and you are having struggle, then like you're going to feel like such a failure.
Yeah,
and I think it's so important to like just be a support group for each other because you don't know the ins and outs or the whys about why it's not
there's just other ways. But anyway, so I mean, it's it's definitely, it's worth taking a deeper dive into. And so, I mean, stay tuned. We'll hopefully be talking to Victoria a little bit more about that and their journey. And with that, TBC, should we wrap up today's episode?
Let's do it. I do want to say, I know we're a few days late, but we do want to wish all the mothers and the stand-in mothers a happy Mother's Day. We do hope that everyone had a very nice, relaxing day. And just know that you are appreciated.
How was your
loved.
Mother's Day?
It was great.
That's why this episode's coming out a day late, and it's no problem because you know what? You needed a nap.
Eric gave me the whole day off. It was very relaxing and rejuvenating, and I'm in a better place.
As much as I possibly could, because you love to nap right in the middle of our living room, where it's like there's not many other places for us and the kids to go. So you got as much of a break as you possibly could have, given the lay of the land. But on that note, TBC, we'll wrap up today's epi. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find us online?
You can find us at bit.ly/youngfamilypodcast. All one word and all lowercase. You can reach all of our platforms right at that link.
That's right. So on behalf of the TBC and myself, we're saying deuces until next time, and
bye!
This is the Young Family Podcast. Young Family Podcast.